of Discovery's Master Events Controller is now being completed. The Master Events Controller relays commands from the orbiter's computers to fire explosive charges to the solid rocket booster hold-down posts at launch and to separate the tanks and the twin boosters in flight. Countdown continues to go smoothly, no issues in work, and we are targeting 8:47 with the cooperation of the weather for liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery and the Hubble Space Telescope. At T-minus 28 minutes, 30 seconds and counting, this is shuttle launch control.
Copy that. And CDR? On CRT3 on system page, report your cabin press.
And on CRT3, we read 14.8.
Copy that. ECL copies, and ECL's ready for CDR to close the cabin vent valve. Okay, CDR, OTC, air to ground 1.
Go ahead.
You can close your cabin vent valves at this time, please.
Inward.
COOS OTC 212.
COOS, go ahead.
And can you verify step 773, please?
That's affirmative. We can verify.
Copy. COFC OTC.
COFC, go ahead.
You ready for the SCARS printer plotter setups?
Yes, affirmative. Those steps are complete.
Copy. ISL OTC.
This is ISL.
Ready for 788?
Yes, I can give you that. 788, 787 complete.
Okay. EPD OTC.
This is EPD.
I want to check your pre-flight bites.
Copy. And I can give you step 790 complete.
Copy that. OTC, OVCC. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Hatch closure is complete. Environmental chamber closeout is complete. We're ready to egress pad.
Copy that. You'll have go to egress.
I copy. We'll come back with you on radio net 105.
Copy that.
The countdown clock will hold.
Discovery Houston. Simon, air to ground voice check.
Houston, Discovery, you're loud and clear.
Roger, Lauren, you're loud and clear as well. Latest altimeter we've got, forecast altimeter for KSC is 30.21, and you can anticipate that we will update the weather for you at T-minus 9.
Okay, we copy that, Steve.
PLT Houston, out of here.
Steve, I read you loud and clear, homie.
You're loud and clear, Charlie. And MS is 1, 2, and 3. How do you hear Houston?
MS1, loud and clear, Steve. MS2, loud and clear. MS3 has you loud and clear, House.
Roger that. We have you all loud and clear.
CGLS on 212.
PLS OTC 212.
Go ahead.
Yeah, 791.
Yes, sir, that is not complete.
Thank you. And DPS OTC.
Go ahead.
I can Okay, copy. CPVD, OTC 212. CPVD, go ahead. And 821 through 23 going to be performed or not performed? That's affirmed, they're going to be performed. Copy that. Gonna do it by the clock. Copy that. Okay. All orbiter systems verify that your program software and report only if any discrepancies. All orbiter systems on 212 verify program software and report only if any discrepancies. CVFS OTC.
CVSS.
Yeah, can you give me the RAS number on 827, please?
The RAS number is 031.41.
Thank you. And AFM OTC? AFM, go ahead. You want to pick up 828? Copy, him work. JRPS OTC 212. JRPS? Yeah. Step 838, change MTU test set to delay 0. Can work. OTC, CPVD. Go ahead. Yeah, I misinterpreted those steps you gave to me. I thought that was a flow reduction. 821.
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 20 minutes, 25 seconds and counting. We are preparing now to go into the T-minus 20-minute built-in hold. This hold will last for 10 minutes. During this period, the NASA test director will ask members of the launch team to verify that the proper software has been loaded aboard for the remainder of the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, T-minus 20 minutes and holding for 10 minutes. Also during this hold, we will get verification that the pre-flight inertial measurement unit alignment has been completed. The landing and recovery director has reported that the shuttle landing facility is ready and configured for launch and has verified that the booster recovery ships are on station and that they are ready to support. The closeout crew has now left the launch pad. Shuttle launch director Bob Seek has received a weather briefing from Shuttle Weather Officer Ed Perselic. And at KSC, at the opening of the period, based on what we are currently observing, the forecast predicts only a 5% chance of violating the launch weather rules at 8:47 a.m. However, there is now a concern about the winds at Banjul, at crosswind factors. They are at margins, and those are being assessed at this time. The other contingency sites would not be available based on their current weather predictions. However, Banjul, if the crosswind component is within acceptable limits, they would be go, and that is being discussed currently. No other problems in work today, and hoping for that 8:47 liftoff this morning. At T-minus 20 minutes and holding, this is shuttle launch control.
TSS. JBFX 212. JBFX NTD 212.
JBFX.
Okay, step 886, verify active 212 and monitor channel 232 for remainder of count. JBFX copy. JTD copies. TSS copies. Copy. This is NTD on 212. With T-minus 20-minute briefing. The launch window opens at 12:47 GMT and closes at 18:31 GMT. A second launch attempt is possible if a recycle occurs. There are two COLA time frames for this launch. The first COLA is 13:59 GMT to 1400 GMT. The second COLA is 17:15 GMT to 17:16 GMT. If a hold is requested and issued between T-minus 9 minutes and T-minus 31 seconds, the countdown clock will be restarted upon successful resolution of the problem without a go made of all elements. PLT, at T-minus 5 minutes, perform APU start upon command of OTC only.
CLT copies.
CDR, the pad egress system is nominal with one exception. The M113 at the slide wire bunker has a broken mic. The radio will receive, but you cannot transmit. There is a portable radio in the area. The evacuation helipad is 8.
Okay, we copy.
Firing room launch team, disable telephone ringers at this time. Ingress, egress of the firing room will not be allowed after resuming the count at T-minus 20 minutes until after launch or flight crew egress if a recycle occurs. All personnel not active in terminal count will monitor OIS channel 217. All personnel bear in mind that critical post-launch operations will be in progress after a successful launch. Keep firing room activities and noise to a minimum. Are there any questions? That concludes the T-minus 20-minute briefing. NTD STM 212. Go ahead, STM. Yes, for sequence 160916, is that going to be enough to form? That's for me. Copy. NTD CSL. Go ahead, SL. Yes, so we need to go ahead and get a CMQC over on channel 145 for recorder activation later on. CMQC 145. Copy.
OTC CFCP.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we'd like to get a CMQC on 153 to support our fuel cell purge.
CMQC. Copy 153. Roger that. OTC EPD. Go ahead. Did I get a CMQC on 151? Copy. CMQC OTC. Copy that. Houston flight NTD.
This flag, go ahead.
Okay, step 897 Alpha, you can proceed with transmission of your variable ascent parameters.
Wilco.
And also, can you verify you're ready to resume the count at T-minus 20 minutes? NTD safety 212. Go ahead, yeah, I can give you step 967. Copy. And also we got 966. Copy. And STM 968, you can terminate video over tracking. I copy that, is STM. SRO NTD. NTD SRO, go ahead, sir. 969, KSC area is clear for launch. Roger, copy, thank you.
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 20 minutes and holding. We are approximately halfway through the 10-minute built-in hold. The ground launch sequencer mainline computer program has been activated and is now actually processing data. This program will monitor various key commands and systems prior to its assuming control of the countdown at the T-minus 9-minute mark and counting.
Flight NTD, air to ground 1.
Go ahead.
The Superintendent of Range Operations has informed the NASA Test Director that the range is ready for launch, meaning that the downrange shipping lanes are clear, the booster splashdown area is clear, and the downrange radar tracking sites are up and ready to support.
NTD Flight 2.
The Range Safety Officer is a position held by the Air Force. He tracks the flight path of the orbiter by television and a display on his console in the Range Control Center. He would be the individual that would send any destruct commands that would be necessary for any solid rocket booster components or an external tank that would be off course. The range safety ordnance are on the SRBs at the top,
Get under your skin.
top and the bottom of the external tank. The NASA Test Director has completed briefing the launch team on recycle options for the remainder of the countdown. From now until T-minus 31 seconds, any of the console operators can ask that the countdown be held if a problem is detected. After T-minus 31 seconds, however, any unplanned hold would result in an automatic cutoff of the countdown and a recycle back to the T-minus 20-minute mark.
OTC, TTNC, go ahead. Yeah, first step.
About 3 minutes now remaining before we pick up the countdown. All events continuing to go smoothly, and our launch weather at KSC is go for an 8:47 a.m. liftoff. At T-minus 20 minutes and holding, this is shuttle launch control.
NTD OTC 212. Yeah, IMU pre-flight alignment is complete, ready for transition to Ops 1. Copy. 897 complete. OTC CTNC, go ahead. Yeah, I can verify step run 899 and 900. Copy that. OFC. COFC. COFC OTC 2. COFC? Yeah, 901 through 904. Copy. Through 906. OTC 901 through 906 complete. Copy that. GNC. 907 is complete at the time. Copy that. And GLS. Go ahead. 909. Stand by. That's complete. Copy that. All personnel on 212, we have to transition to Ops 101. Discontinue all LDB PMU reads for remainder of countdown. NTD STM 212. Go ahead, Tim. I can give you step 0986 at this time. Copy. And DPS OTC. Go ahead. On your mark on 918.
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 20 minutes and holding. We are just about 30 seconds away from picking up the countdown at the T-minus 20-minute mark. As we come out of the hold, Discovery's onboard computers will transition into the terminal countdown configuration, and we will dump the computer memory of one of the 4 primary computers so that we can look at it and make sure that the Ops 101 program, the primary program, has been stored properly. 3, 2, 1, T-minus 20 minutes and counting. The countdown has been restored, leading down to another 10-minute hold at the T-minus 9-minute mark. The data processing system engineer has confirmed that the onboard computers are in the process of making the transition into the terminal countdown configuration. A purge of the 3 fuel cells on board Discovery is now underway. T-minus 19 minutes, 30 seconds and counting.
OTC, CDPS. Go ahead. Pass op transition is complete. DPS is ready for BFS transition to Ops 101. Copy that. CDR, OTC, air to ground 1. Go ahead. Could you take BFS to Ops 1 for your checklist, please?
Roger, heading north.
T-minus 19 minutes and counting. The primary ascent software is now in the Ops 101 mode, the primary launch program, and Commander Shriver will now configure the backup flight system computer to match the configuration.
And OTC, PLT, we have no unexpected faults. We're going to go ahead and clear the fault zone.
Copy that. CEPP. CEPP OTC 212. CEPP OTC channel 212. Go ahead. Yeah, can you verify you have data present on all channels? That's on. GLS OTC. Go ahead. You verify 923 and 24? Yes, sir. ODS, CCME, BDP, and DPS. CCME. ODS. ODS. And BDP. BDP. And DPS.
DPS.
Yeah, verify 925.
We verified.
COSC OTC. COSC? Yeah, 927, 928. Verified. AFC. CAFC OTC. Go ahead. 929, 930.
T-minus 16 minutes, 50 seconds and counting. The dumping of the Ops 101 program stored in the memory of one of the 4 redundant general-purpose computers has started.
29.
This will take approximately 7 minutes to complete. Engineers will examine the data for any miscompares.
PLT OTC.
Go ahead, sir.
You want to configure pass and BFS horizontal sit displays for your checklist, please.
We'll put that in work, Stan.
OTC, CEPP. Go ahead. 922 verified. Copy that.
The airframe engineer is now checking the critical aerosurface driver currents and positions in preparation for activating hydraulics. And pilot Charlie Bolden is in the process of configuring the cockpit switches for launch.
NTD, CVFS.
Go ahead.
Ready for BFS upline.
Houston flight NTD.
This flight, go ahead.
Perform BFS pre-flight uplink loading.
Okay, I copy. We'll put it in work.
NTD FCM 212.
OTC, CDR.
Go ahead. Yeah, sequence 6.
Need to talk to Houston flight about TAL site.
Okay, copy that.
The NASA test director has asked Houston Flight to send their pre-flight uplink command to the orbiter's backup flight system. These loads are sent from Houston via the Mila tracking station and put the 5th general purpose computer in the proper configuration.
Do you want
Pilot Charlie Bolden is in the process of performing the main propulsion system helium system reconfiguration. This will open the helium isolation valves that are necessary for in-flight purges of the engines and provide an emergency source of pressure for pneumatic shutdown of the engines. Water levels in the water spray boilers are being checked, and they have been verified to be sufficient for the mission. Configuration of the cross-feed valves between the orbital maneuvering system and the reaction control system propellant tanks has been performed. The orbiter test conductor has asked pilot Charlie Bolden to report the quantities in the reaction control system propellant tanks. The booster test conductor has been asked to start the gaseous nitrogen purge of the aft skirts. This flow of inert gas ensures that no explosives or flammable gases can accumulate in the bottom of the solid rocket boosters prior to ignition. T-minus 14 minutes and counting. At this point in the countdown, all non-essential personnel are being cleared from the launch danger area. The fuel cell purge and adjustment is being reported complete, and the NASA test director has informed the test team that the clock will be holding at T-minus 9 as planned.
CBFS NTD.
This is CVFS.
7940 complete.
I copy.
NTD SRO 212. Go ahead, SRO. Yes, sir. Page 813, step 0965.
Houston Discovery, did you call?
Hemisphere has normal track. Copy.
OTC, CFCP.
Go ahead.
Yeah, fuel cell purge is complete. We're ready for fuel cell load adjust. 971.
Copy.
And OTC PLT OMS interconnect config is complete.
Copy that. Then you can perform your NPS helium reconfig at this time, please. OTC CLS. Go ahead. Peak valve configuration for flight is complete. Copy that. APD, SCP, and ECL, and you want to adjust your fuel cell loads between 250 and 290 per OMI 9001 volume 2. 973. EPD copies. OTC EPD. Go ahead. Need a tech out here to work on our plotter. LPS? Yeah, this is LPS. Which console is this? 18. Copy. The countdown clock will hold at T-minus 9 minutes and 3 minutes.
OTC, CVFS.
Go ahead.
T-minus 20 minutes UPC dump is complete.
Copy that.
T-minus 11 minutes, 50 seconds and counting.
Copy that.
They report that the T-minus 20-minute dump of the orbiter general purpose computer memory has been completed and that there are no unexpected errors.
Config is complete, and if
We've received verification that the contingency support is ready and that the aircraft and emergency teams are on station should they be necessary. The emergency escape systems at the pad have been verified ready to support, and the final Gymsphere wind balloon has been released and a normal track is reported.
OTC 6 me. Go ahead. 982 and 83 complete. 84 not performed. Copy that. OTC EPD. Go ahead. F973 is complete. Copy that. You get it set up. APD, can you tell me what you were set up? All personnel on 212, discontinue all non-mandatory LDB traffic for remainder of count. Go ahead.
T-minus 9 minutes, 50 seconds and counting. Less than a minute away from entering the last planned built-in hold in the STS-31 countdown. The flow rate of conditioned air fed into the orbiter's payload bay has been reduced and verified to be at the nominal approximately 180 pounds per minute. 10 seconds away now from the 10-minute hold at T-9. 3, 2, 1, T-9 minutes and holding for 10 minutes.
Houston flight in today. Houston flight in today. Here to ground 1.
This flight, go ahead.
Can we have our update on our TLS altimeter setting and runway?
Okay, no update on the runway, still be KSC 15. The altimeter will be 3021.
Copy.
And NTD, I'd like to have a go to update the crew on our weather.
You've got to go.
Okay. Discovery Houston with the weather update.
Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, Lauren, KSC is forecast to be 4,000 scattered and 7 miles. Altimeter 3021. No significant change to the winds aloft from your pre-flight briefing. The winds are going to send us to KSC 15 with a close aim point. And that'll put you, predicted distance down the runway is 1,500 feet down the runway at 195 knots, Vice 205. And flight is requesting that you land at 195 knots on 15. Van Jewel 32 is the TOW runway. Weather there is clear and 6. Altimeter 29.80. Winds at Van Jewel forecast 030 at 10, gust of 15. Crosswind is 14 knots, 14 knots from the right, about 8 knots on the head. And the only other note that we have for you is that predictions are that you can expect a 2-stage throttle in.
Okay, we copy all that, Steve. Thank you.
Approximately 7.5 minutes remaining in the built-in hold, and the bottom line of that discussion is that the weather is go at KSC and at Banjul.
TTC NTD. Yes, TTC go. TTC. Payload test conductor. Payload is go. LPS? LPS is go. Houston flight. Houston flight NTD.
Go ahead.
Say go, no go for launch.
Stand by 1 second.
Mala? Mala's go. STM, go. Safety console? Safety's go. SC? SD's go. CDR?
CDR's go.
LRD? LRD's go. SRO? Stand by. OTC CPVD. Go ahead. Yeah, I'd like to put step 1008, lower the payload bay flow at this time with 15 currents. Okay, go ahead. NTD SRO. Go ahead. 212. Go ahead, SRO. Yes, sir. You have a go and you have a final clear to launch. Copy.
NTD flight 212.
Go ahead.
Flight is go.
Understand. Flight step 1012. You can activate recorders.
All the key elements are reporting that they are go, so it does appear that we're headed for an 8:47 a.m. Launch. We're polling the mission management team for their concurrence, and we have approximately 6 minutes remaining in this 10-minute built-in hold.
10-9. Valve 9.
That's negative.
And let me know what the purge rate you have set in at.
I copy. I'll stand by.
When the countdown resumes, the ground launch sequencer will be in control. This master computer program will issue the commands to perform the final critical tasks that are required to put the space shuttle into the launch configuration. The ground launch sequencer will monitor as many as 1,000 different parameters during the final 9 minutes to make sure they do not fall out of predetermined limits or red lines.
Okay, weather. On track, we have no launch constraints violated.
Wind for launch from 110 degrees at 14 knots.
Alright, copy. Ops manager, launch director.
Bob, we've completed the poll. We have no constraint, and you are go to complete.
OTC, HTD. Go ahead. Yes, sir. 10006 and 1028 complete. Copy. As launch director, copy. Ops managers, go for launch. Thank you, sir. And Discovery launch director.
Discovery, go ahead.
Okay, Lowen. Well, everything looks good down here on the Earth. Hope we can get you upstairs here shortly, and you can take a look at the universe for us. NTD, go to proceed. Copy. Thank you. And PVD, OTC.
And we're up.
That final word from Launch Director Bob Seek. They go to pick up the countdown at T-9. About 4 minutes, 15 seconds remaining in this hold.
Plus or minus 9 is stable, and step 10, 11 will be now performed.
Copy that.
All personnel in Firing Room 1 have now switched over to the same communications channel and will be staying on that channel from now through launch. 4 minutes remaining in the hold. Several major milestones do remain between the pickup of the countdown and launch. As we come out of the hold, the ground launch sequencer takes over control and issues commands for the final critical tasks. At T-7 minutes and 30 seconds, the orbiter access arm retraction will be performed. And at T-5 minutes, pilot Charlie Bolden will start up the orbiter's auxiliary power units. A gimbal check of the orbiter's aero surfaces will occur at the T-3 minute 55 second mark. And an engine gimbal test occurs at the 3 minute 25 second mark. For the status at Mission Control in Houston, we'll now switch to the Johnson Space Center for their status.
CNSE, OTC.
This is Mission Control in Houston. All positions in the Mission Control Center are reporting they are ready for launch, and the weather is looking good. Our only previous concern had been crosswind weather at the TAL site. So we are standing by for launch. This is Mission Control.
We'll go now to the Space Telescope Operations Control Center at Goddard.
This is Hubble Telescope Control in Greenbelt at T-9 minutes and holding. The Director of Orbital Verification, Mike Harrington, has confirmed that all control team positions here in the Space Telescope Operations Control Center in Maryland, as well as the support team at the Huntsville Operations Support Center in Alabama, are ready for today's launch of the Hubble Space Telescope. Presently, the telescope is essentially powered down in Discovery's cargo bay, with the exception of 3 discrete power sources going to keep the transmitters, receivers on board the telescopes, the gyros warm, and the receivers ready to receive commands once we get on orbit. First commands to be sent from here will be about 4 hours and 30 minutes mission elapsed time. Again, all is ready here in the control center at the Goddard Space Flight Center and in the Huntsville Operations Support Center at the Marshall Space Flight Center in Alabama. At T-9 minutes and holding, this is Hubble Telescope Control in Greenbelt.
We now have approximately 1 minute remaining in this 10-minute built-in hold.
The countdown clock will start in 1 minute.
Mission Management Team Chairman Brewster Shaw has completed the poll of his team, and they verified that they are ready for launch.
descent on clock will resume on my mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark.
We are now counting T-minus 9 minutes. The ground launch sequencer is now controlling. It is very quiet here in the Launch Control Center because there is nothing to discuss. We are ready to fly.
PLT OTC, air to ground 1.
Let's stand.
You want to configure fuel cell essential bus source switches, please?
That's in work. OTC PLT, essential buses are connected to fuel cells.
Thank you.
The orbiter test conductor is now requesting that Houston Flight Controller send stored program commands, which are the final update on antenna management. This update ensures that the orbiter has the latest information to communicate with the different ground tracking stations as the vehicle moves downrange.
Entity Flight 212.
Go ahead, flight.
Okay, we're sending our SPCs.
T-minus 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
Access arm retract.
The orbiter crew access arm is now being retracted away from the vehicle into the launch configuration. This arm can be re-extended to the crew compartment in less than 30 seconds should a contingency occur. T-minus 7 minutes and counting. T-minus 6 minutes, 30 seconds and counting.
You want to start APU and hydraulic strip chart recorders, please. Recorder started.
Coming up in about 15 seconds, the orbiter test conductor will give pilot Charlie Bolden a go to perform the auxiliary power unit pre-start operations.
PLT OTC 212.
Yes, sir.
You may perform APU pre-start, please.
That's in work, Stan.
And Bolden now will configure those switches in the cockpit to put the APUs in the ready-to-start position. Awaiting his reply that that is complete.
OTC, PLT, APU pre-starts complete. 3 gray talkbacks.
Thank you.
Bolden reports that the APU pre-start is complete, and console engineers here in the Launch Control Center are able to confirm that. The APU activation will come at T-minus 5 minutes and about 15 seconds. The APUs provide hydraulic power to the orbiter. 5 seconds now from APU pre-start start operations.
Yellow Cisco for orbiter APU start. PLT OTC 212.
This is PLT, go.
You may perform APU start.
That's in work.
And Commander Shriver now given a go for the APU start.
And CDR OTC.
CDR, go ahead.
You can
And
reconfigure.
I'd like to report, Roger, we have at an intermittent APU speed high on APU 1.
Intermittent on APU 1. ST, copy. ST copies.
A discussion from
APU NTD.
Go ahead, NTD.
And OTC, CDR, we have it running in high speed now because it was up there anyway.
Countdown clock is holding at T-minus 4 minutes due to a failure.
the clock will hold now at T-4. We are investigating a problem with APU number 1.
And we recommend just hold and analyze at this moment. We're holding good in the high speed range right now, ranging from 112 to about 118.
Clock is in a precautionary hold so that we have time to assess the situation and discuss it.
Yes, sir. SB and APU, we're standing by for recommendation.
Standing by for a recommendation from the console engineers. Discussion now about the chamber pressures on the SRBs.
And OTC, CDR, I did not do my heaters. If you decide to resume count, I'll get those.
Copy that.
The APU apparently looked good in high speed but not in low, and that is being discussed.
NTD, this is APU.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Can I speak to PLT for a moment?
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. PLT, were you getting alarms of high speed? That's why you shifted it to high speed?
That's affirmative, APU. The speed seemed to be controlling or not controlling. It was running randomly from normal up to about 114. And we switched to high, and it stays, it's controlling in the high-speed range.
I got the NTD. What we'd like to do is take it back into the normal speed and see if the speed sensors and the controller will hold it in the normal speed range.
SB NTD. SB concurs. Go ahead, APU.
And PLT, I'd like to go ahead and take the speed select switch on APU number 1 to normal.
Okay, that's in work.
And launch director NTD.
Okay, we have APU 1 in normal speed.
That's launch director. Okay, recommending we count down to 31. Why don't you do that? Proceed to 31 and hold there until we get a total go on this condition.
Brewster Shaw and the chairman of the mission management team and launch director Bob Seek are discussing the possibility of continuing to count down to T-31 to keep our options open.
GLS pick up immediately. And NTD SSD will have to bypass this parameter. Understand. Go ahead, APU.
Yes, sir. The current speed for System 1 is not holding within range, and from the RPS readings that we're getting from the strip charts, we're also seeing that the chamber pressure is erratic in System 1, and right now our recommendation has to be no-go. And the violation is LCC 6.6-6.
And SB? SB concurs. And launch director concurs. APU, before we call it quits here, is there any more data you would like to get in our current configuration before we would go into a recycle and a shutdown?
And launch director, this APU, no, we have our strip charts downstairs and we have all the data we need for right now.
Okay, copy. SB. SB concurs. And NTD, let's get cut off. GLS get cut off. Copy. Launch team, proceed to sequence 18, page 978.
And a decision from launch director Bob Seek that we will scrub for today because of a problem with auxiliary power unit number 1 observed by Commander Lowen Shriver when commanding the APUs to start at the T-5 minute mark. The orbiter access arm has been returned to position around the crew access hatch.
Go ahead, NTD.
We are now into the recycle procedure. The vehicle is being safed. And we will now have an analysis of the data and look at our options. APU engineers report that we have had a good APU shutdown as part of our saving procedures.
OTC PLT APU shutdown's complete.
Copy that. On panel R2.
Ready.
APU hydraulic circ pump 1, 2, and 3 switches to GPC.
It's ready, Tom.
And that's verified all three are in GPC.
Copy.
NTD Flight 212.
Go ahead, Flight.
The BFS SPC buffer is clear and we're ready for the G9 transition.
Copy, thank you.
BLS primary spacing is complete and we are go for transition to G9.
Copy.
We do not have a decision yet on how long the scrub will be. The launch team continues to safe the vehicle, and the mission management team and launch director Bob Seek are discussing it.
That's complete.
And PLT, panel R1.
Go ahead.
Power distribution of central bus source, fuel cell 1, 2, and 3 switches to off.
That's complete.
And panel F8.
Ready.
Controller power switch to off.
That's complete.
And CGSS OTC. Go ahead. Verify OAA is extended, locked, and configured for retract.
I can verify that. CMPL, CLOC, CLHY entity.
This is CMPL.
CLOC.
LHY.
Step 29, verify configured for G1 to G9, GPC ops transition.
LHY verifies.
Yeah, verify CLOC.
CMPL can verify.
LHY verifies. Copy. OTC and TD, step 30, take us to G9.
Copy. DPS OTC.
There's DPS, go ahead.
Want to perform past G9, please?
Okay, put that in work. CDR, CDPS.
Go ahead.
CDR, go ahead. On panel C2. Go ahead. Right CRT select switch to 3. The right one's on 3. Okay, on the right keyboard, message reset. Complete. Ops 000. Okay, taking the BFS to Ops 0. Right. BFS is an Ops 0. Copy. On 06. GPC mode 5, switch to standby. Go ahead. Okay, it's in standby now. Copy. And you're in ops 9. OTC, CDPS.
Go ahead.
DPS configured GNC 9, downlist format 44.
Copy that.
NTD. NTD copies. TBC. TBC. NTD. Yeah, go ahead. Step 40, we're in G9. Copy. HGD, CLHY NTD.
It's LHY.
HGD.
CHD.
Step 41, verify ETO2 less than 10,000 ppm.
I can verify that.
We can verify 33 and 33.
Copy.
Oh, wait. Hit 33?
That's step 41. CLHY entity. CLHY.
We can verify 41.
Copy.
This is Mission Control, Houston. The mechanical systems officer at his console, Paul Dye, with one of the people from his back room, are reviewing the strip chart showing the information on how APU-1 performed pre-launch, and they are analyzing that data real time to see if they can determine what failure occurred with the APU-1.
Checks. Page 989. IFL.
I can verify.
DPS.
DPS can verify.
CCME.
CCME can verify.
CSME.
CS, make a verify 4 and 5. MPL. MPL can verify 6 and 7. CLH1. LH1 8, 9, 10. CLOX. CLOX verifies 11 and 12. HTD. HTD can verify the aft. We're working on the TSM at the present time. Understand. CGSS. GSS verifies 14. APU. The AP verifying step 15. CBH1. CBHY NTD. CBHY verifies. That's step 16 EPD. EPD verifies 17, 18 does not apply. OOS. OOS verifies. C-Power.
C-Power verifies.
CBRS. CBRS verifies. EPD OTC. Go ahead. We have mix up. Affirmative. Okay, we'll have to perform mix up. Oh, we have mix up, so those are not perform steps. RSR NTD. RSR. Step 48. Post cutoff safety checks are complete. Fire and leak detector status is satisfactory. Request concurrence to proceed with this and safety. Sir, I was under the impression that step 13 on page 990 was not completed yet. Yeah, he's working on the TSM at this time. Okay, you let me know when that's done, please. HTD NTD. This is HTD. We can verify the TSM now. Bring safety. Copy, you've got concurrence to safe. OTC, you've got to go on step 49. Copy that. C-Power, OTC.
Go ahead.
You want to verify your ignition SNAs are safe?
That's affirmative. We verify.
And DPS and EPD? EPD. Yeah, be advised, DU equivalents and MEC critical commands will be issued momentarily. GLS, OTC?
Go ahead.
You want to perform FRB, RSS, SNA safing?
I copy and work.
Copy. SRO, NTD.
NTD SRO, go ahead.
Do not cancel range support.
No, sir, we're still full up,
Copy.
including our carrier.
Copy.
NTD CGLS.
Go ahead.
Yes, the SRB, RSS, SNAs are safe and MEC critical commands are disabled.
NTD copy. NTD copy. ISL, OTC?
This is ISL. I can give you step 56 there, ready for PCM switch off.
Copy that. CDR, OTC?
CDR, go ahead.
Panel C3, OI, PCMMU, power switch to off.
Okay, it's coming off. Mark.
ISL, can you verify valid OI?
Yes, sir, I can.
Flight crew, this OTC, you can open your LEH visors at this time.
Yes, sir, those are open.
And PLT on panel R2.
Ready, stand.
NPS helium ISO A, left switch GPC.
Complete.
Center switch GPC.
Complete.
Right switch GPC.
Complete.
Helium ISO B, left, center, and right switches to GPC.
All three are complete.
Pneumatics helium ISO switch to GPC.
That's complete.
Copy that, thank you.
NTD flight 212.
Go ahead, flight.
Our recycle is complete.
Copy, thank you. ECL OTC. ECL, do you do any tank quantity drains? That's not required. Okay. TBC and T. This is TBC, go. Okay, on step 66, we want to go ahead and get in a position where we can try another attempt today. Okay, we are not going to drain, is that correct? So we are not going to drain. Okay. Yeah, you've got to go on step 66. Copy. And 67 is not performed. And NTD OTC, I can give you 68. Copy that. And GNC OTC. Go ahead. How do we stand for IMU pre-flight alarm? That's not performed. Copy. Okay, this is NTD on 212. We're going to get in a position where we can make another try today while the engineering community discusses our options. So we'll proceed down the road on a normal turnaround for another try today. And TDSD.
NTD, launch director. Launch director 212. Okay, it's going to take us longer than that to sort this out, so we're going to scrub for the day. And you ought to be planning for an extended turnaround, if that helps you in your recycle actions in the near term.
I understand, thank you. And NTDSD, we were going to make the same recommendation, okay? TVCNT.
Keeping our options open.
TVCNT. This is TVC. Okay, step 63. We are going to scrub for the day, so you've got to go on 63. 63, I copy. Safety Council NT. Safety on 212. We'd like your concurrence to stage the closeout crew at the BDA.
Yeah, we can go ahead and get that ready. Do that. NTD safety at 212. Go ahead. Definitely scrub for today, correct?
That's from
Copy.
OTC NTD.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go on step 70. Copy. TNC OTC.
Go ahead.
Yeah, per step 70, do not start IMU pre-flight align until directed and change responsible console for DU2 to C11. Did you copy?
Say again, please, OTC.
Step 70, perform IMU align preps. Do not start IMU pre-flight align until directed. We are scrubbing for today.
I will come.
Okay, and change responsible console for DU2 to C11.
Copy that.
And DPS, when you get the RSIS back, you can pick up step 72 through 77.
Copy.
This is in. This is NTD on 212. OTC, TBC, STM, LPS, RPS, TTC.
This is Shuttle Launch Control. Space Shuttle Launch Director Bob Seek has announced to the launch team that we will scrub for today and to plan for an extended duration scrub as opposed to a short term. So the chances of going tomorrow are not high, but they will be keeping their options open until the launch team and the mission management team have a chance to tag up in about an hour or so after there has been a review of the data. General McCartney and Admiral Truly are also here in the firing room and awaiting the recommendations from Launch Director Bob Seek. We will also be reviewing our weather forecast for the next 2 or 3 days. Based on the charge available on the Hubble Space Telescope batteries, we, in theory, have 4 days, including today, for a launch attempt: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Go ahead.
The launch vehicle has essentially been safed. The orbiter access arm is in position. A review of the data is underway. No one in the firing room has been released.
PLT, OTC, air ground 1.
Go ahead, OTC.
Okay, before you guys get out, we'll do some cockpit securing on panel 08.
Ready?
left dome is tank ISO, B switch to GPC, and verify talkback open.
And Stan, we have tank ISO B. We'll verify it's in GPC and the talkback is open.
Copy that. Left dome is cross feed, B switch to GPC, and verify what position.
Summing up the problem, there were no indications anywhere in the countdown that there were any problems to work. However, at the T-minus 5 minute mark, when Commander Shriver was given a go to power up the auxiliary power units, he did notice some abnormal data displayed in the cockpit on APU number 1. Brought that to the attention of the APU systems engineer on the console in the firing room and to the launch director. The countdown clock was held at T-minus 4 minutes to have a chance to discuss it.
Copy that. Right ohms cross feed, B switch.
And as a result, a decision has been made to scrub for today while we look at the data and decide whether or not we have a minor problem or something that will take more time.
Talkback open.
And Stan, that's a complete GPC and talkback is open.
Copy that. Tank isolation 1, 2 switch to GPC and verify talkback open.
I'll verify those.
And 3, 4, 5 switch to GPC and verify talkback is open.
Let's verify GPC talkback open.
And CDR on panel 08.
Okay.
Forward RCS helium press A switch to GPC and verify A talkback open.
Okay, Stan, GPC and the talkback is open.
Copy that. Panel 07.
Okay, we're ready.
Aft to left RCS helium press A switch to GPC and verify talkback open.
Okay, we verify it's GPC and open.
And B switch to GPC and verify talkback open.
That's complete to GPC and talkback is open.
Okay, aft right RCS helium press A switch to GPC and verify talkback open.
Okay, well, that's complete to GPC and talkback is open.
And B switch to GPC and verify talkback open.
That's complete GPC, verify talkback open.
Okay, panel 014.
Go ahead.
Row Fox, RJDA 1A, L2, R2 manifold, driver switch off.
Okay, stand by. We're going to have to get the swivel sticks in. And if you'll start all over, just read it to us so we can verify the switch.
Copy that. Panel 014, Row Fox, RJDA 1A, L2/R2 manifold, driver switch off.
That's complete.
And logic switch off.
That's complete.
Okay, RJDA 2A, L4/R4 manifold, driver switch off, OFF.
This is Shuttle Launch Control.
That's complete.
Space Shuttle Launch Director Bob Seek
That's complete.
will meet with the engineers and the mission management team at a 10 o'clock tag up to discuss the data. In the meantime, he has instructed the launch team that until we have a better feel for what we're dealing with, to keep the options open and be prepared to reconfigure for either a 24, a 48, or a 72-hour turnaround.
We're ready.
It will, however, be probably early this afternoon before we have a decision on what the length of that turnaround will be.
L1, L5, R1 manifold, logic switch off, OFF.
Complete.
RJDF 1A, F2 manifold, driver switch off, OFF.
Complete.
And logic switch off, OFF.
Complete.
And panel 016.
We're ready.
Row Fox, RJDA 2 Baker, L3, R3 manifold, driver switch off, OFF. R3, R3, R5, and manifold logic.
We are attempting to get some idea here in the Launch Control Center on exactly when a statement would be available on the exact nature of the APU problem and how long we will be standing down.
Logic switch off, OFF.
That's complete.
RJDF, 2 Baker, F4, manifold driver switch off, OFF.
That's complete.
F4, F5, manifold logic switch off, OFF.
That's complete.
RJD manifold, L5, F5, R5, driver switch off, verify.
Verify.
Right ohms engine valve switch off, OFF.
One of the things that comes into play in keeping our options open is the solid rocket booster retrieval ships, and until we have a decision on what we're going to do, they have been told to stay on station about 160 miles downrange.
Right switch off, OFF.
Right switch off.
And COOS, can you verify your CRTs?
COOS verified.
And PLC panel R1.
Ready.
Power distribution essential bus source, fuel cells 1, 2, and 3 switches off, OFF.
Okay, all 3 of
The payload test team here at the console is preparing a plan for their activity over the next few hours, which ultimately will involve powering down the telescope. They are, of course, disappointed, but as Bob Seek said yesterday, the stars will be here tomorrow.
Yeah, CDR panel 013.
Yeah, we can see it to verify, Stan. I'm not sure we can open any circuit breakers if that's what you're going to need.
Okay. ISL, OTC. So go ahead. Yeah, PCM and panel control. Or you still got it? You still have control of it. Okay, you want to set the active PCM remote enable on? It is in remote. We are in remote this time. We have control of it. Copy that.
OTC, CDR.
Go ahead.
Roger, that 013 stuff is critical. We'll have Steve unstrap and try to get those for you.
Okay, we want to open up the essential 1BC, 2CA, and 3AB controller circuit breakers to open. I'll give him a call when you let me know he's ready.
The flight crew is being asked to configure certain switches in the cockpit to accommodate a stand down, but in light of the uncertainty, to keep certain options open until decisions can be made.
Copy.
OTC CGNC.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and sequence 18, steps 70 through 77 are complete.
The NASA test director has instructed the closeout crew to proceed to Pad B.
CDR OTC.
CDR, go ahead.
While we're waiting for Steve to get up to panel 013, 15, how about on panel C3?
Go ahead.
I'll stand by. That's already in remote. My problem.
No problem.
Engineers continuing to ask the astronauts, Commander Shriver and Steve Hawley, to assist in reconfiguring certain switches on board.
CDR, you get to panel 07.
Go ahead on 07.
Okay, TACAN 1 mode switch to off OFF.
stand by.
Copy.
Number 1 is off.
Copy that. TACAN 2 mode switch to off OFF.
That's complete.
And TACAN 3 mode switch to off OFF.
That's complete.
And panel 08.
Go ahead.
Radar altimeter 1 and 2 switches to off OFF.
Okay, radar altimeters are off.
Okay, and as soon as we can get Steve to get 013 and 015, our cockpit securing will be complete, and we'll get you guys out of there.
Okay. He's got that in work.
Okay.
OTC, this is MS2. Go ahead for panel 013, please.
Okay, row A, essential 1BC, main A, controller circuit breaker open.
That's open now.
Row Charlie, essential 2CA, main Baker, controller circuit breaker open.
Open now.
Row Easy, essential 3AB, main C, controller circuit breaker open.
Open now.
And panel 014.
Go ahead.
Row Baker, main A, main C, controller circuit breaker open.
Open now.
And panel 015.
Go ahead.
Row Baker, main A, controller circuit breaker open.
Open now.
Panel 016.
Go ahead for 016.
Row Baker, main Charlie, main Baker, controller circuit breaker open.
Open now.
Okay, I thank you guys, and that completes our cockpit securing, and the next step you hear should be the closeout crew opening up the hatch for you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Sorry we couldn't give you a ride today.
Yeah, everything was ready.
OTC, CMQC. Go ahead.
Page 1033, notice step 36 not performed, that affirm?
Yes, next 5 steps starting with 33 are not performed, or next 6 steps actually. 33 through 38.
Copy that. NPD Launch Director 212.
CDR OTC.
CDR, go ahead.
Okay, we have one more slight requirement for you folks up there. We need an MS2 position to power down the HST.
Okay, stand by, Stan.
Sure thing. DLES OTC 212.
DLES 212.
Yeah, you want to perform this power down on this channel?
Yes, sir.
Okay. As soon as we get the MS2 in position, I'll give you a go to proceed.
Copy.
OTC, OVCC. Go ahead. Yes, sir. Close our cruise in the white room. Okay, copy that. We have the crew performing the HST power down, but you're free to get the hatch open and start removing those gentlemen ASAP. I copy and work.
And OTC, PTC 212.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, Stan, will you give us a go? We'll get our folks over and,
Okay.
OTC PD.
Go ahead.
I'd like to report completion of steps 19-0018 and 0093, and that is a recycle of the T-minus 20-minute configuration complete.
Okay.
And also OTC, I'd like to get a QC on 151.
CMQC.
I copy, 151.
OTC CTLS on 212.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I will need a quality on 183, please.
CMQC, OTC.
CMQC, copy, 183.
Thank you.
The OTC MS2 is at the standard switch panel now.
Okay, DLES, OTC.
DLES.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, MS2, DLES.
Go ahead.
Okay, essential main switch, enable switch to on.
It's on now. Talkback's gray.
Copy. Under essential bus, the external essential power switch to off.
Okay. The essential bus external power switch coming off. Mark. And the talkback is barber pole.
Okay, we should have an internal essential power talk back up.
That's verified.
Okay, take the internal essential power switch off, please.
Internal essential power is off on my mark. Mark. Talkback's barber pole.
Okay, copy. And essential main switch, enable switch to off at this time.
Complete. Talkback barber pole.
Okay, two quick verifications. The RSU heater power talkback is gray.
Verified.
And FHST shutters talkback gray.
Verified.
Okay, that completes power down. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, CDR is OTC. I suspect that's all for the crew operations and the crew module. They're working on getting the hatch open and getting you folks down there.
This is shuttle launch control.
Okay,
You are seeing the senior management console in the firing room at the Launch Control Center. Launch Director Bob Seek, Mission Management Team Chairman Brewster Shaw, the Director of Payload Operations and Management John Conway, and a discussion has been underway about what our options are, and we still do not have any decisions, and it will probably be after lunch before we can tell where we stand. We have had a decision by Mr. Seek that we will not try to launch tomorrow. We will not try a 24-hour scrub turnaround. The Hubble Space Telescope is being powered down. We will be awaiting the results of the meetings this morning to determine exactly what the problems are and then where we would like to proceed from here. This will conclude our commentary from the Launch Control Center. We will continue with NASA Select to monitor the crew egress activities at Pad B. This is Shuttle Launch Control.
CTLS on 212.
Go ahead, TLS.
Yes, sir, I just want to check in with you. Our recycle to T-minus 20-minute configuration is complete, but we haven't done anything with the clock yet. And I was wondering if you want us to go ahead and just scrub per sequence 30, and we'll just be on call for whenever they decide what the plans will be.
Yeah, that's it from TLS. Copy, TLS.
Please repeat.
Yeah, that's affirmative. We'll go ahead and pick up with sequence 30 and then,
Okay, I copy, sir. We'll just keep checking in and make sure we get set up when as required.
Right, okay.
And would you like me to go off on an off channel and buy off my sequence 30 steps?
Okay, I've got a step ready to remove ring safety flight code and OPSC and T-Lab for 5018. CDR, OTC.
CDR, go ahead.
Okay, you guys might get a master alarm when they pop the hatch due to Delta P.
Okay, thanks for the warning.
NTD, this is ECL 212. And CDR, OTC, air to ground 1.
CDR, go ahead.
And just one final verification, Lauren, that you are ready for flight crew egress and panels L5 and the R6 comm power switch is off.
Okay, I guess we'll get those off as we go off comm then.
Copy that.
We have people coming in now.
Copy that. OTC, CCL 212. This is OTC on 212, go ahead. ECL, OTC 212.
OTC ask.
Go ahead, Ann.
Roger, OTC, ASP is on board, ready to support the crew egress.
Okay, copy that. Can you verify that the panel L5 and R6 comm power switches are off OFF?
I'll do that.
Okay. And ASP OTC, head at ground 1.
Yes, sir. OTC, go ahead.
Yes, sir. When you finish your comm reconfig on panel L5, I'd like you to go to panel A11.
Okay. A11, go ahead.
MS comm CCU power switch to off.
That's verified, and the L5 and R6 are verified off.
Copy that. And panel A15.
That's on. I'm talking to you on that one.
Okay, PS comm CCU power switch OFF.
It was off when I connected, and I'm on back now.
Okay, MO39 Mary.
Stand by, I'm getting the crew out. We'll get that in a second.
Okay.
And MO39 CCU power is verified off.
Thank you. And ASP OTC.
Go ahead.
Don't mean to push you, but I lost track of where I sent you the last time.
Okay, we've got MO39. All the CCUs are off, and helping the crew unstrap and egress.
Okay, copy that. And if when you get a chance, you can disconnect the shoulder harness and lap straps, O2 hoses, parachutes, vent hose, and the comm cables.
That's all in work.
Copy that.